migration of Black people. Again, there is just this kind of blindsided feeling that people have. Well, no, if people just work hard.
But this is the thing that I think about all the time. When you look at oppressed peoples,
Okay.
and then you look at us,
Okay.
and we talked about this before with the Dalit and other, there are oppressed people all over the planet that have experienced all kinds of things. We're not suggesting that our plight is been, necessarily more or less than those people's, but we will say what's fascinating about this situation with us is the illusion part. Because in other cultural frameworks, even the oppression is clearly spelled out. This is what the rule is. Even if you're in a horrible caste situation, that's what it is. Everybody's clear on what it is. It may be terrible and horrible, but there's not a suggestion that it maybe isn't that way. Okay? The problem with this being here is the idea that you espouse these beautiful, these values. Oh, we are inclusive. We want to be, right? But the natural culture of what you actually want and believe is built on something that's nefarious. Like it's like, I think about, remember the lady, remember I told you, like normally I can see a microaggression coming. I normally can see it. And this is an analogy that literally walked into my house, okay? Here's the deal. I built a house. I was very excited about doing that. And all of the people who came into, the first few days, they go and they check everything in your house to make sure it's good, the first month or whatever. And the electrician was a woman. The plumber was a woman. I was like, wow, this is great. Look at all these women. Now, they're all white women, but hey, they're women. This is advancement. We're in a little area that it was pretty, rural and non-diverse, and my whole block is diverse, right? I'm like, we're coming along here. This is what I start to feel, right? Look at us. We're moving up. The Mexican family, the Indian family. I'm like, we're good. We're good. We all built our houses. Look at us. So the electrician lady is telling me, because I'm so hype about her being a woman, is telling me all these pieces about my house, more than I ever would want to know in life, about my stove and about, this is a filter. Did you know you can undo this? I'm like, I didn't know, but I didn't have anything to do. So I'm just, I'm no problem to pump you up today. So I took all of that in till we get to my ovens, my double ovens. So again, I normally can see a microaggression coming a mile away. Someone's about to call me articulate or something. I can tell it's going to happen. But in my house, I wasn't prepared. My guard was down. We had moved on up and built a house. So I feel feeling pretty good. And I'm complimenting this chick. Okay? So what happens is the woman says to me, these are your oven sets. And let me tell you about your oven, your double oven. I'm like, okay. So she says, so this is the master and this is the slave. about my ovens. So I go, so I stop myself for a second. I'm a little stuck because I'm like, am I tripping? We're talking about ovens. Is it me or was that, what just happened here, right? So I'm like, while I'm stuck, normally I can come, I'm pretty quick. But in my house, when I didn't see it coming, I'm kind of stuck. So I'm sitting there, I'm kind of stuck. I'm not saying anything anymore because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And she goes, so the master, it cooks efficiently, it cooks really quickly, it takes all of the energy from the slave oven, and basically the slave oven cannot cook efficiently, it's slow, don't put your turkey in that one because it won't get done. Listen to me. I'm like, if this is not an analogy for white supremacy, what else? What sucks all the energy from the bottom oven. Now again, I'm stuck. But what I start realizing, and she's going, what I realize is two things are going on here. One, the originators, the Frigidaire originators of this oven, which is what it's called, I looked it up. It is called the master and slave. But you've been doing this work, you told me, for 30 years. You've been fragrancing every one of the segregated homes you've been in, because you've been doing this for white people for a long time in this area. This is your spiel. This is your little thing that you do, right? So you probably get a little chuckle from them at that little, because it wasn't like, and the slave. It was made, the whole thing was done in a way that I'm sure you get a response. You were expecting a certain kind of response. Didn't even consider that you shouldn't say that to me. So we start walking out, and I'm like, okay, if my children were there, I would have been probably a little more swift. But I was really trying to make sure I wasn't tripping. I can be real black sometimes, and like this moment about the ovens? No. So we're walking, and I said, so first, let me say honestly, I really appreciated all the information you provided to me about my appliances. Uh, Maybe consider losing your master slave analogy, even if just for black home owners, maybe. So now this is her opportunity to access her full humanity. This is her opportunity to pause and recognize the error of her ways and to say, because of course we all espouse these inclusive practices. We all espouse that it doesn't matter whose house I'm in, right? Well, that's what it's called. I mean, you have Samsung refrigerator, but that's a Frigidaire, that's American made. That's what it's called. It's not, I mean, I get it, but that's what it's called. So you shirked your opportunity. You decided to avoid your opportunity to access your full humanity, right? In that moment. Because again, you could have called it the main and the secondary. You could have called it primary, secondary. You could have called it just anything else. The top and bottom. Anything else.
That's what I was thinking.
Top and bottom, primary, secondary, any of those things would not have elicited that kind of a feeling in me. But your natural way of being has been normalized. You can, just in your work, you've been fragrancing with racism, all these homes you've been going in for 30 years. So of course now I gotta call my home building association. I gotta call them, to call the contractor, to call the local people to get her ass. Okay, now I gotta do all that. But what I realized about that is that analogy was so perfect for me, because even in moving and building my house and doing all the stuff that I thought would give me some measure of calm and safety, because now we've all done this in this neighborhood. We all built our house, no matter who you were. And I still had to, you see what I'm saying? This is what I mean, is that I was caught off guard because I had done all these things, right, that I thought would create more safety for me in this space, in my own damn house, okay? But that's what I started to realize. This shit is deep. It's very deep, and it goes beyond. I'm like, when you got me stuck in my kitchen thinking about whooping your tail over an oven, it is a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we start, the danger in doing well, the danger in moving up or in getting the access is not always good for you or your community. And I think that's the part that's been a hard pill to swallow, even though we believe in integration.
Yet there's a piece of me, and I know that there are a lot of people, that are going, gosh, you can't segregate. And the thing that I struggle with is the fact that people live with segregation happily every single day. If you were to ask them, any city, where are the black folks? Well, if you go to, they're gonna know where they are, and they're gonna, oh, well, do you just think we just all got
I've never been there before. Heard.
Oh no, I had somebody tell me, oh, I don't go over there. I had a person say something to me about my house. Come into my house and say, oh, I don't usually go over there. I go, okay, ooh, look at the time. Really? You don't go over there? But so while we live with this segregation, we have a pretense that these lines aren't already drawn. Mm-hmm. And so when